All right, welcome back to another episode of Life After Ball. It's where basketball connecting with art, business, and culture. And today we have Mark Anthony with us, OG in the basketball industry. If you know him, you know him. That's what I always say. So can you just tell me who you are?
Yeah, man. So my name is Mark Anthony, or I go by Mac Designs now. So, man, I've been in the basketball game since 2014. About started off with All-Star Basketball, which then transitioned into All-Star Mixtapes back in the days. So shout out to Danny, by the way. So I need to give a shout out to my boy. But yeah, I started off like that. Started off coaching, like running camps, then transitioned into like the media side of stuff because I always had like that creative side to me. So yeah, transitioned to that, and man, the rest is history. That's what like kind of paved the way for everything that's going on professionally for me. Yeah,
that's one of the reasons why I'm inviting you as a guest on this episode, because I think you have the most polished resume out of anyone in Quebec basketball industry, even the sports.
Respect,
like it's crazy. So you did almost everything, and you were like a rival to me. Like some people might think, I don't know, maybe back then you think that I'm a hater or something like that. But I want to make it clear today, I treat you as a rival. Like you do something, I want to do it better.
Respect,
like,
bro.
That's how it is. Like you always need someone to push it. And just like, what made you start All-Star Basketball?
Man, yeah, so respect, first of all. But yeah, what made me start it, man, is like I think I always been like the type of guy that wanted to work for myself. Like I never was good like with authority figures, like especially at school and stuff like that. So I was like, shoot, like what could I do like to create an opportunity for myself, right? So I was lucky enough to have like Danny, which was like, he's still one of my brothers today, like have the same drive, the same passion. So we were like, okay, what could we do that's different? That's what's going on. And as you may know, like, especially in basketball in Quebec, it's like always the same people. It's always like the same faces that we're seeing. It's kind of the same blueprint that's laid out. So we wanted to do something different for the kids. We wanted to do like a camp that's kind of resembles of what's going on in Western Canada or in the States and stuff like that. So we started off with a camp, like only 20 kids, and we were like, damn, like, is this the right way to go? Like, not making no money. We're not paying ourselves. We got pressure from our parents that are like, get a job and stuff like that. But we pushed through. And like I said, it's like just having the mentality of creating your own opportunity and building something, right? And having an impact on the culture. And then, yeah, we were able to scale it up. Fortunately enough, we were able to gain respect from our peers, from great people in the community. And I think that's what helped us like scale it up on the long term.
Yeah, that's crazy. And what made you start that basketball camp? Like, and basketball camp and videography and media content creation, like it's two separate games. So I want to know, what was the connection? Like, what brought you into that?
So if I'm honest, man, like anybody that plays, like your dream is like to get to the next level, and you want to like, as a player, you want to be super successful. Like really quick, like when I finished high school, I knew that my basketball career as a player wasn't going anywhere. So I was like, you know what, let me put the jersey up in the rafters. So like I right away I got into coaching, and like just that the idea of like teaching kids like basketball in a way that I wanted someone to teach me the game, right? So like I kind of had that mentality. I kind of had that idea set up. I had bad experiences with coaches. Like there was some things that the way that the game was taught to me, I didn't like it. And I always had questions, but never any clear answers. So I was like, you know what, let me give something different to the next generation, right? So like right away, 2013, I got into coaching. And then like my whole passion, my whole life turned around that, right? I was like looking at plenty of videos, reading plenty of documents, asking plenty of questions. And yeah, so then I was like, okay, now how could I get to the next level in coaching, right? So that's your next aspiration. It's like you want to coach in CEGEP, and eventually you want to like be an NCAA coach, you want to be a pro coach and stuff like that. So it's like, it's tough because like I said earlier, it's like always the same people, and like the same people are hooking each other up. So if you're new in the game, like you're not getting any love. So it's like okay, the next best solution is creating your own platform. So that's how we created like our first basketball camp.
Yeah, that's crazy because I feel like in Montreal, like not even Montreal, I feel the whole Canada, Quebec, Canada, like it's politics.
Yeah.
If you know someone who's gonna bring you in, you're gonna go in. If you don't know, like you're stuck below everyone.
For sure, man.
It's crazy.
And it's like, you know, it's like what was rubbing me off the wrong way. Like back then and even today, it's like there's like this kind of this misconception of if you're a good player, you could eventually be a good coach. And it's like, I think that's one of the things that we have to like remove. It's not because you were a good player that you're able to teach the game the right way. You're able to have that level of patience, the right vocabulary, like for the next generation, right? So that was also something, like I said, like that was rubbing me off the wrong way, and like you nailed it. It's like it's really politics, and that's something that I really have a hard time with. And it's like I kind of like, you know me now, like we had really a lot of conversations, but like you hear it in my voice. I always have that chip on my shoulder. I'm like, you know what? Why is it like this? And like I'm always willing to challenge like that type of narrative.
Yeah, you're another rebel.
Yeah,
like
sure.
that's what I mentioned with Ollie. He was a rebel. You're a rebel within the politics. So that's how you are, and it's just crazy because if I know you better since the Alliance when we worked together, and you didn't like something, you say straight on the face of anyone who goes against you, and if you know the right way to do it, you just tell them no, like this is the right way. Like
yeah, for sure, man. It's like I'm always like. I always love like a great underdog story, you know what I mean? Like the ones that are overlooked, the ones that are like kind of taken for granted. Like I kind of have a good eye for those people, and I'm like, man, like there's a lot of talented people out there. There's a lot of people that have more passion than people that are already out there, that already have a platform, that already have like that reputation. So it's like now, like where I'm at today, it's like, okay, how could I help those people? How could we like create a platform for each other? How could we help each other? How could we hook each other up and kind of play that game, but like do it the right way, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah. And I just want to, we went a little bit too far. So I want to just rewind a little bit back. So like how did All-Star Mixtape went all the way from the beginning till where you stopped? Because like I never knew why you stopped, and I just want you to tell me like the whole like the struggle, because I want people to understand, like by listening to this podcast, I want people to know like it's not as easy as it is. Like like business, it's a different thing than hustling on the court. So
for sure.
So tell me about it.
Yeah, for sure. So like in full transparency, what was like working well for us was really the basketball camps. Like we were able to scale up to 250 kids like during the summer, and it was like we were rolling, man. And it was like super cool because we were able to have our friends coach with us. We were able to have like great coaches within the community who want to work with us. So like the quality of coaching that we were offering to the kids was perfect. But that was only going on during the summer. So we were like, okay, how could we be active during the year, right? So that's when we kind of came up with the All-Star Mixtape stuff, right? And it was like the whole approach with that was to give exposure to players over here, kind of like what you guys did with Hoops on the Rise, right? And that you're still doing. So it was like, okay, how do we get started? So obviously we need cameras and stuff like that. Personally, at that time when we started, I had never held a camera in my life. I know Danny never held a camera back then. So we're like, okay, let's try to recreate what was going on in the States, right? So for us, our inspirations was like the Ball is Life, the Hoops mixtapes and stuff like that. So we want to like have that approach and like bring it over here in Quebec. So it started off like that, man. It started off like, you know, the grind, like just get in the gym, ask like the people, could we get in the gym to play, like to, you know, to film the games. So that was like a whole issue at the back then. But then when they saw like the product that we were able to deliver, and back then there wasn't much going on. Like Shafiq from Keys Production was out of the game, so shout out to Shafiq. But he was out of the game.
Just a quick teaser, he'll be guess
for sure, man. You have to. He's the OG, man. He's like one of the OGs. But like he was out of the game when we started. So it was like, okay, there's nobody else doing it, so let's do it. And then we started getting more serious with it. So we were doing like the highlight tapes and stuff like that. But then the demand from coaches was like, okay, we would like to use your services to send like a mixtape like to coaches in the NCAA. So then that was a whole different thing, right? So then we were like, okay, what are coaches looking for, and how could we fulfill that need within the videos, right? So so that was another service that we developed with time. So I would say, man, it was a challenge. Like it's like the videography, like, man, shout out to all the videographers out there, because it's such a grind. Like Danny was like really clutch with that. He was carrying most of that. But yeah, man, that's how that like the All-Star Mixtapes branch like really started.
Yeah, that's crazy. And what was the vision behind it? And like what did you do until you couldn't continue anymore? Yeah.
So like the whole vision behind it, like especially like the camps, the whole vision behind that was to become the biggest camp that there is in Quebec, like a full exposure camp. Eventually, like invite scouts from like either in Canada or in the States, like to come see our players. That was the whole vision behind that. The whole mixtapes part of it was like to become kind of a competitor to like RDS and TSN, right? It was like that whole approach to like, you know, like go against like the system and stuff like that. So eventually, like, we were doing like interviews with coaches, interviews with players, like that. Like, unfortunately, we weren't able to do more, but like we did a couple of those. So yeah, that was like the approach with that. And honestly, like what made us stop was just the fact that personally, like in school, I was starting to get letters from like Concordia, like shout out to Concordia. Like I started to get letters from Concordia, like, yo, you need to boost up your grades or else you're out of here. And like my parents were getting those, and they were like, okay, you have to make a decision. And just like from like the background I come from, it's like, you know, I kind of have to follow that traditional route. But yeah, man, that was like super heartbreaking. And it's like something that me and Danny talk about today. We were kind of like forced to stop. You know what I mean? It's not like we were, it was like things were going bad, and it's like our camps were going up, like the whole mixtape situation. Obviously you guys were getting in. So then it was like more work because we were alone. Yeah. And like what you guys were doing is like, you guys were killing it, man. And it's like, damn, it was like, what could we do to beat these guys? You know what I mean? It's like the rivalry was like, was built. I feel we got the both feelings on both sides. For sure. And it's who can just continue pushing it. Yeah, like, man. Like it's same thing with Game Point. Like, like people think that like I'm having beef with everybody, but no, like you drop a video, I'll drop one. Like sure, it's just the same thing. I score a 3, you're gonna score a 3. Yeah. Like you go for an N1, I'll go all the way, I'm gonna dunk on you. You know, like it's same thing on the court and off the court. Like you need to have that mentality. Hey man, for sure, man. And it's like, it reminds me back memories, like talks I used to have with Daddy. It's like, yo, like what could we do? It's like, okay, let's have like always 2 guys at the game, so we have like the sideline angle, we have the baseline angle, and we could do like something funky. That was my nightmare. That was like I think I did that twice while you guys were doing it. Yeah, I'm like, impossible. I'm not doing that. And back then I didn't know. I don't know if you know what time code is. Yeah. But if I knew that there was time code, it would be so much easier. But anyway, I'm not handling all those footage anymore. Yeah, and that's crazy. Hey man, like that's the whole thing, and I think that's what you guys killed, right? Especially you, like you were super like on the court, on the field, and stuff like that, and then you like slowly transition like to overlook and delegate. I think like looking back, that's something that we could have done better. Is like, you know, how could we build a team? Right. Yeah. Like, and eventually like be more in a management position, or like kind of lead like the vision, stuff like that. So looking back, like that's something that we often talk about, but man, it was like a super great run. It was like one of the best projects like I've ever did. And we always talk about, we're like, yo, should we bring it back? Like, should we do something? Like, please bring it back. Like find a way. I don't know, invest money. I don't know, like, cause that's exactly the same dilemma. The only difference between me and you is that I continue pushing even though I couldn't push. Yeah. And I'm still trying my best to hang on to it. Like it's like a baby to me. It's like same thing. Man. It's like a passion project that I care about so much, because I was ex-player and I still care about basketball. I'm still watching basketball, but sometimes there's something that I cannot. So I'm telling you, maybe think about call Danny after this podcast. I don't do something. Hey, for sure, man. Yo, if the people want it, we'll deliver. But the people has to want it, man. Put in the comment if you want All-Star Mixtape back, then we need to tell Mark to bring it back. For sure, man. For sure. You were mentioning the camp was doing well. Yeah. So
But at the same time with school, you could have continued school and do the camp in the summer. So why did you still pull completely the plug?
Man, it was like, that's a super good question, man. It's, you know, like we were starting to like get bigger than what we were, I think, right? And, you know, like Danny at the time was like full in on recruiting people at the same time, like he was managing and stuff like that. So I know he like had a lot on his shoulders. Like on my end, like he was taking coaching really seriously at the time, and like so was I. And it was like a lot of, man, all the logistics part of it that I didn't know, like looking back. And it's like, you know, you have to manage the gym, you have to manage staff, you have to manage parents, you have to manage like registrations and all this stuff. And I was like, yo, you know what? Like that's like the side of like that part that I didn't like. And like that, and I'm the type of guy, like when I don't like something, it really affects my motivation, right? And I'm like, okay, you know what, let me just push this on the side, right? So like that was like, I think for me, like that's a lack of maturity that I had at the time. And it's like I said, like looking back, it's like something that's a part of it, right? If you want to get to that level, if you want to continue scaling up, it's a part of the game, and you have to like really acquire those skills, develop them. And you know what, if you don't like that, well, find somebody that does, or find somebody that's better than you, and just like pay that person and like let that person shine on that end. But like, you know, I had a super hard time delegating, right? And it's like, I don't know if it's like the creator side of me, maybe like you share the same thing. It's like when I have a vision on something, and when I want something to be done a certain type of way, like I really hold on to it, and I'm super passionate about it. And if like there's somebody trying to bring in their sauce, I'm like, yo, what are you saying, bro? Like, get out. It's like, this is how we should do. But like I said, that's a lack of maturity. But you know, with time, you kind of grow, and I think it's like it's cool during the summer. It's like 2 months during the year, but like, man, it's like at the end of the day, we all have to eat. We all have bills, right? Yeah. And it's like the mixtape side of it was cool, but we weren't developing as much. Like you guys were getting in, Game Point was getting in. So like there's competition. So then you have to like find a way to like be on top of the competition and stuff like that. So man, it's like, it gets tiring. And especially when you're not delegating, when you're only two in the staff, it's like kind of impossible.
Yeah, like I totally get it. Like that's exactly the same hardship that we're going through. And like if I'm going back, like there's a lot of stuff I would have done differently. But like you said, the maturity, like we were young and we didn't know what was the right thing to do, and we're just learning by messing up. Yeah. So I just feel that like it's a lot of hard work and
it is really like, it's really like a lot of hard work. And like that's like something also that was affecting my motivation at the time, is like the fact that you don't get the recognition like from coaches, you don't get the recognition from programs. And it's like, man, I feel like there's a lot of people that don't want to pay for this service, right? And it's like, it's super valuable. Like they want it really badly. They know that that's like the blueprint to like help their program, help the players, but they don't want to invest, right?
Yeah, that's the biggest problem. They walk in the gym with a new fresh kicks on their feet.
Oh yeah, always.
But you tell them $150 for a mix.
Yeah.
They complain and say, "Oh, I thought you were doing for the culture."
Yeah,
like
man.
Bunch of excuses. I'm pretty sure you hear all of them.
Oh yeah,
and
man.
It's how much time. Like if I go to work at McDonald's, I will make more money than filming your mixtape. But I'm doing it because I want to help you. Yeah. And it's crazy.
Man, that's like, I think that's what they don't realize. It's like they only think like it's like they see you in the gym with the camera, right? And they don't see like what goes afterwards. It's like you have to watch the game all over again, but you can't watch it like straight up. You have like plenty of clips. Yeah. Then you're trying to find like the right time. Like plus like me back in the days, like, I wasn't a videographer. Like I don't consider myself a videographer. So like having like the timestamps and like all that stuff, I had no idea, man. I was like rewatching. So like adding a couple of hours just to rewatch the game. Then you have to edit. Then there's like color correction, all that stuff. And it's like they don't know that beyond like the 2 hours that you're filming the game, there's like an additional like 3 to 4, 5. Like if you're like a new videographer, it takes you even more time. Like they don't realize like it's basically a full day of work, right? Yeah. So that's when it's like, okay, like when I'm asking for $150, it's like not only am I gonna give you a quality product, but it's like it's taking me like a lot of time, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes more than $150.
Man, for real. It's like if you guys like, if you really believe in your program, if you really believe in your players, like investing your time is something, but like investing like in a financial way, that's legit, right? It's fair. It's a part of the game. And you kind of have to do that. That's like kind of where the game is going right now. Like media is taking more and more of a place like in the culture. So man, try to find a way to navigate your budget to like pay creators, right?
Yeah, exactly. So at the moment that you couldn't continue anymore, like what did you pivot into? Yeah,
so like at the time I was a marketing student at JMSB. And it was like, okay, like the dream was always like to get in like the NBA, right? So I had the dream to getting in the NBA as a player. That didn't work. I had the dream getting it into the NBA as a coach. That didn't work. So then like all I had in my arsenal was like the camp and the media stuff. So then I was like, okay, how could I bring that to the next level, right? And it's like, as you're like doing it, you're kind of learning that, okay, like the bigger leagues or like, you know, like AU programs or whatever, or what's going on in the States, it's like, okay, there's like leagues that have like departments that are like for creators, marketing and stuff like that. So then I was like, okay, so there is job opportunities in this game. So then I was like, okay, like how do I get to that level? And honestly, man, it was like kind of a coincidence, a blessing or disguise or whatever. It's like one day, like I was just on LinkedIn, like I was in bed, man, like half awake, and I was on LinkedIn, and it's like, I saw somebody that I was following that liked to post of like an internship with the Raptors 905. Yeah. So then it was like, okay, so opportunity to be like an intern for the Raptors 905. Application deadline is like that day at midnight, and it was like 11:30. Then I'm like, yo, should I try? So then I was like, you know what? The hell with it. So I take out my laptop, I upload my resume. Like I had to do a resume on the spot because I didn't have one, right? The only thing I was doing was like working for myself. So I did like a quick resume. Then like I just wrote a quick email, like what I was about, like what I believe in and stuff like that, and sent that email like with no expectations. Like in my mind, there was no shot that they were gonna bet on someone like me, right? And 2 weeks later, I get a response. They're like, "Oh, like we saw your resume. Like we like how you talked about yourself. Would you be down for an interview?" So like I drove all the way to Mississauga for the interview. Whoa. Yeah, kicked it off, and yeah, so I was able to get the internship with the Raptors 905, and from there, like I was able to network, like learn what was going on at that level, right? So then I'm like taking all this knowledge. And in my mind, I'm not like trying to be an intern, like to get a job with them, right? It's like, okay, let me take all this information and like bring it back home, like just redo what they're doing. So like that was like my whole approach, and like, and man, it was like a super great experience. But then COVID hit, and it was like the apocalypse kind of. Yeah. So then like my internship was cut short. I had to come back here, and yeah, that was that.
Yeah, that's crazy. But you said like you always wanted to go to the NBA. You wanted to go, and not as a player, but now you had the potential of going to the NBA as someone else in the player. Yeah. But you also mentioned that you didn't have the intention to get a job with them. So so what was your intention beside bringing it back? Yeah, man. Like for me, it was like really the approach of, you know, like taking in the experience. It's like just live it. You know what I mean? And whatever happens afterwards, you know what, let it happen, right? So I think that kind of reflected on the way I was like acting with my colleagues, acting like with people that I was meeting for the first time. Like personally, I'm not the type to shake everybody's hand. Like I'm not like at all the PR type. I'm not like the typical like business student that goes like to networking events and like trying to mingle. I'm not like that at all. So every time I was like meeting someone, man, I was like, I was myself. And I was like, the way I was talking to them, I was the same way I was talking to you. Like, you know, me and Ruben. Yeah, Kareem, exactly. Like chilling. You saw how it is. Like, it was serious, but like not serious. So it's like, I think like when I was over there and like people were meeting me, they're like, yo, who the hell is this kid? Like, he's not acting like the others, but it was like not in a disrespectful way, obviously. But I think like that, like people were like, they were seeing me. They were like, okay, you know what? He's a real guy. Like I see him like being a friend, like mostly a friend than a colleague. And I think that's what really strengthened my relationships with the people over there.
And then, man, like I'm still in touch with like a couple of those people, and like we have great discussions of like what's going on and stuff like that. But yeah, to get back to your question, like my intention was just like taking in the experience, taking all that knowledge, and like communicating like what's going on at that level and how could we bring that to like Quebec.
Yeah, but you didn't want to like step up and go to the Raptors directly.
Man, for sure. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for sure. Like, I'm acting like all tough, but like, for sure. Like, there's a side of you that was like, okay, like I'm one step closer, like to getting over there. But like, I think I always had like problems like with confidence and stuff like that. So I didn't believe it. Like, even though that's what I wanted, I didn't really believe it. And maybe like looking back, I could have like made like more strategic or smarter moves, or like act a better way, or like the way like I was working, or when I had projects to like give, like go the extra mile. Like looking back, maybe I could have done that. But at the same time, like it wasn't in me, right? It was like out of my comfort zone. I was in another city. It was the first time I was living alone. So like take that into consideration. So yeah, but like for sure, like that was like, I thought about it a couple of times. Yeah.
So now, like, there's like a big gap in COVID.
Yeah.
You finished in 905.
Yeah.
And your next stop was the Montreal Alliance.
Yeah.
So is there something in between that you like to share until you get to that?
Yeah, for sure. So like once I got back, I was able to work with Les Ballons Intensifs. So LBI, so shout out to Thierry, Ernest, and all those guys, man. They really give back. And yeah, I was able to like to get an opportunity over there. And they were like, they always believed in me, right? They knew who I was, like from the All-Star basketball days. So they knew like my intentions were right, and that I was like it was kind of in me like to give back to the community and stuff like that. So I kind of had like a 1-year contract with them. And then it was like during that 1 year, that's when the Alliance, like the CEBL announced that Montreal was going to have a team. And so right away, like my instinct was like, okay, let me think of that, because that's my next step to getting back into professional sports, right? So like I had Les Ballons Intensifs between that time. Yeah.
And how was the transition into the professional?
Man, it was tough. Like you know, because you have to like LB. Like what I liked about them is like it's super like family environment. Like you're working with people that are in the gyms, that talk the same language that you do. We're all like, we all share the same values and stuff like that. And then when you're getting like when I got to the CEBL and the Alliance, it's like, okay, like I'm back into the professional world. I'm back into like a world with departments, like with people that are leading these departments. You're back in like in a team with people that have like a good professional background and stuff like that. So it's like, for me, personally, what was tough is like, okay, navigating back into like that kind of that political environment / professional environment, however you want to call it, and like try to find a way to navigate and like be welcomed, right? Yeah.
And how was the experience over there?
Man, it was like, I'm super grateful for the experience I had over there. Like it was cool, because when I got there, like my role was kind of like to help build the identity behind the brand, build the storyline, find a way to make people buy tickets, right? That's the whole like professional game. And it was cool, man. It's like I discovered new passions. Like I was able to build on like my leadership. I was able to build like on my like self-awareness, especially. And yeah, try to find a way like to work in a small group, but to deliver like a super big project. So that was cool. But then like looking back over time, the whole like political side, like the whole mix of like personalities. There's people that are there for the right reasons. There's people that just look at it as a job and stuff like that. The way I saw the Alliance was really to have an impact on the culture, like really build the reputation of Montreal, not only like on the basketball side, but also as like, we have dope creatives over here, right? We have like guys that could deliver quality projects, like what's going on in the NBA. We have people that could build quality projects of what's going on anywhere. And it's like, for me, in my role when we worked together, I worked with Kareem and Ruben. It was like, okay, we have like a super dope creative team. Let's find a way like to compete with the other teams within the CEBL, right? You remember that?
Yo, we say, yo, we're gonna destroy them. Like,
yeah.
Yo, let's drop that. Yo, Russ, where's the highlight? Where's the highlight? Yo, you got the dunk?
Yeah, man. And it's like, it's cool because like the whole approach is like, let's try to make it like the NBA, right? You know how the NBA, like within like the second that there's a super big highlight, they're putting it out right away. And it's like, that was my thing. It's like, okay, let's turn the heads of those people to see, okay, what's going on in Montreal? They're doing the same thing. All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
So
I think we got it. Like, I think we're one of the fastest. Like sometimes I refresh, I'm like, there's nothing going on their other page, and us, it's already uploaded. I'm like, yeah, Mark. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys were clutch. Like shout out Ruben, Kareem, and you, man. You guys were super clutch with that. And we worked super well together. I think like that's what I enjoyed the most is like working with you guys, being on the same page as you guys. You guys had the same vision as I did, so that made the job super easier. But yeah, man, like the whole approach was like, let's kill like the other teams, right? Let's show like what we're about. And there's like always that stigma, like all the like Ontario and like all the other provinces, like I feel they're all sticking together, and like when they look at Quebec, they're like, okay, yo,
those French people,
those French people, whatever. But yeah, man, we were killing it like on the videography, on the photography, we were killing it on the graphic side also. So yeah, man, that was dope. Yeah,
that's something I'm curious. Like, where did the graphic came into you? Like, where, like because I always knew that you were doing videos, you were doing social media, but the graphic, it was like a magic. Like it was something that just came out of nowhere that I didn't know that you were doing that.
Yeah, so that was like kind of something that I developed during the alliance, right? It was like we needed someone, right? And it was like, okay, we have no one to do the job, so I was like, okay, let me pick it up. So like I remember back like when I was in CEGEP, I had like an introduction like to Photoshop class, which I liked, but never really like developed anything else. So man, it's like just every time we had a news, we needed to showcase it the right way. And like, I always have like the approach of like delivering something that's the NBA level. For me, like the NBA, that's my standard, right? Mm-hmm. So I was looking at what the NBA people were doing and was like, okay, how could I recreate it? So like, if you look back, like at the beginning of the Alliance, like Instagram page, like you slowly see like the strategies, like it sucked at the beginning. Like I'm gonna be real, like it sucked at the beginning, but like slowly like moving up.
It was the best of what Quebec could have got.
I appreciate it, man.
No way, like
I appreciate it.
It's something that we never had, so you had nobody to look up to.
Yeah.
But the NBA, but anything you were doing was better than what didn't exist.
I appreciate it, man.
It's already the standard of what
I appreciate it. And that's kind of like something I had in the back of my mind. It's like, okay, like we have an opportunity to establish a standard, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't think I told you this, and I don't think I told this to Ruben and Kareem, but like when we used to have like events like with like season ticket holders or like fans or whatever, like the thing that people would like tell me is like, yo, you guys were on top of your game. Like at the end of a quarter, we knew what the score was. We knew like what the highlight was and stuff like that. And that's what made them like tune in even more. So like, so that was dope, man. So that's like you know, you're doing a good job, but like when you hear it from the people that are like consuming the product, oh, my bad. When they're like consuming the product and they're like acknowledging the work that you're doing, that's like always the best thing for me.
Yeah, you always need that little like that small push, that
man.
Small like positivity to keep you in track and knowing that you're on the right track.
For sure, man. And it's like, especially like you know, obviously like most people are gonna look at it for like the product, which is the game, right? Like the players and stuff like that. But like to be acknowledged as a creative and like people are saying, yo, like the videos that you guys are putting out, like the photos that you guys are putting out, the way the brand looks and stuff like that, like people are saying, yo, you know what, like this is one of my favorite teams to watch. Mm-hmm. It's like, and you know that your competitors are like CF Montreal, the Habs, the Alouettes, and you're like, shit, like people are like saying this to us. Mm-hmm. That's always like, cherishing.
To be honest, I feel like what you guys were doing on the social media side was better than the Habs.
Thanks, man.
Like, because even the Habs, like, they don't have the highlight.
Yeah.
Like, at the same moment.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. Like, it's a big corporation, it's politics, like anything need to get approved and everything like that. But I feel you guys had a very small team.
Yeah.
And so you could have like just dropped stuff like right away.
For sure, man. Like that's what I was also fortunate enough for when I was over there, is like the fact that like they trusted me in like how to deliver the product, right? Especially like during game day, like we were a super small team, so everybody was in a rush. Everybody was too busy, like either talking to fans, like our ticket sales guys, like they were taking care of that, running around and whatever. But like my job was just to make sure that how like the product looks from the outside is great, right? Mm-hmm. So how could I do that? Is well, putting stuff in real time, making sure like everything is in high quality, it looks good and stuff like that. So like that's also the advantage of being in a small team, is like you kind of have that creative control on how you want the product to come out. So yeah, I was fortunate enough for that.
Yeah. And it seems like everything was so perfect.
Yeah.
And like, what made you kind of like, or something that happened, or I don't know what, but like, what made you change your mind to leave something that was so good?
Yeah, man. And honestly, like that was one of the toughest decisions I had to take. Like, cause finally there was a platform. Finally, there was a chance for me to like have a significant impact on like our basketball culture, and like really developing a product that's gonna, you know, be out there for a long time, right? And I was there. I had like the opportunity to have that creative control. I was working exactly in the field that I wanted to. But honestly, it was just like a question of compatibility with personalities, right? So like looking beside me, looking what was going on like in the league office and stuff like that, just didn't fit with me. And like that's something that I had really like a tough time, because it's like, yeah, I don't really have somebody to talk to, right? Like there's not really anybody that had a background in professional basketball. There wasn't anybody that really understood, that wasn't like in the gyms, like that knew like all these coaches, all the people that are giving back to the kids. Like there's nobody that really knew those people, right? So it's like, okay, so we're like in meetings, we're discussing about like where we see ourselves in the future, how we want the product to look and stuff like that. Who do we want in our stands and stuff like that? And it's like, okay, you guys are talking about apples, I'm talking about oranges. And it's like trying to find that reasoning, trying to find that middle ground. That was something that like we tried to develop and it just never worked. So it's like, I was starting to have a tough time sleeping at night, man, because I was like, damn, it's like finally we have something that's working. And it's like, okay, are we just going down the path where it's like the same people, we're going to just recycle the same people, the same faces, we're going to use the same blueprint, the same formula from 10 years ago, and we're just going to try to reapply it to the culture. And the thing with basketball is, it's like, man, it's super grassroots. Mm-hmm. People are super passionate about it. People, like, especially like the kids, like they invest a lot of their personal time. Coaches give out a lot of their time. And it's like the whole culture behind the sport is like grit. It's like hands-on. It's like I said, grassroots. And it's like, that's, I think, something that was missing in the product. And like my approach was like, okay, how could the people, forget like only the people that are in the arena, right? Because sometimes when we were in games, it wasn't even the people that was seeing like in a gym, like at Pagé, Parkex or whatever. It's like not even those people that were coming in our games. It was like just people that like being entertained, right? So that was like bothering me. And I was like, okay, how could I bring people from the culture into our stands? And it's like, obviously that, like you said, it's like the politics, you're having discussions, there's like stuff that needs to be approved and stuff like that. And it's like, man, it's like in my mind, it was so much easier than it was. Yeah. And it's like, okay, I just couldn't handle it anymore.
If you had la carte blanche, you can just go in and do it and get it done. And
for sure.
Like it will be done before you get approved already. So
for sure, man. And it's like everything was always postponed. Also, like I think what was bothering me is like creatively, I wanted to do a lot more. And we had these conversations, right? And you were presenting a lot of ideas, which was what was super cool. And like I was always telling you the same thing. And it's not in my hands. Like
I need to wait.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's go do a document behind the scene.
Yeah.
Go in the locker rooms, go outside of the basketball. Like we had so much ideas, but I'm like, Mark, what's happening?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Man,
like I was willing to do it from portfolio, but if the head office doesn't let us do it, then
for sure, man. And it's like, it's tough for me. It's like being in that position. Like, I think when I was over there, my mindset slowly transitioned into, okay, like I'm kind of tired of like working with creatives but not paying them.
Yeah.
You know, like I really had a hard time with that. And it's like, as much as I appreciated your initiative and like your hunger, like to do something, in the back of my mind, I was like, man, like I can't let somebody that's super talented, that's giving like all that they have and not compensate them in a way that's fair. And like, and I think that's what's missing within our culture, right? It's like going back to what I said before, it's like coaches, programs, or like anybody, right? Even professional teams, they want to have good marketing, they want to have good social media content and stuff like that. But when it comes to time like to put your money where your mouth is, that's when the problem comes out, right? And every
time we talk about money, that's where the mission is aborted.
Yeah,
like
always.
Like, let's drop the idea. Like, what? I was supposed to pay?
Yeah.
Like, but what? Like, I'm supposed to work for free? Like,
man, it's crazy. Just like for the fans out there to know, like what Russ and I were discussing was like, we want to do like kind of what the Raptors do with Open Gym. We want to do like that type of project with the Alliance and like really have like show what's going on behind the scenes and stuff like that. Especially like during the season is so short. You have no choice like to condense like all this footage and like be in the gym, be in the locker room and all that to do something like that. But like by the time like stuff gets approved, and like I said, we're a small team, so nobody's thinking about doing something like that because we're only thinking about survival, right? So it's like those projects get pushed to the side.
Yeah, but by the time that they want to do it, it's too late.
It's too late.
We don't have the footage anymore. So.
Exactly. And it's like, I think what's missing within like the CEBL, like within like their teams and stuff like that is like storytelling, right? I think like one thing that's like a problem with the league is like most of the teams keep changing year by year. So it's like, okay, last year I was at an Alliance game and it's like, okay, this is the roster. Now I'm coming back to an Alliance game and I'm like, yo, who the hell are these guys? Like already that I don't understand like the rules of the CEBL. Now I have to remember like these guys that I don't know, right? And that's like in comparison to the NBA, like the NBA is a players league, right? That's what works the best. It's like back in the days you had like the Celtics and the Lakers, so you were able to like to build something off of that. But then like slowly with time, like the players like were super talented and like they were moving around, so you had like a story to tell. It was like you were watching a soap opera. But within the CEBL, because it's like less talented players than the NBA, already like the interest of people is like much less in comparison to the NBA. Not only that, add in the fact that the roster keeps changing, it's confusion. So you have to find a way to build a brand, build a story, make people not only like make the people attached emotionally to their team, right? And what better way to do it than producing content? Yeah,
there's so much way to do it, and like you said, it's more like a perspective thing. Also, like if someone get attached to a player, and the next game they come, the player's not there anymore, or he's not playing, they're like, "Where's my favorite player?" Like,
man.
And they have no way to connect with that player anymore, even if the player will leave after in the way. So you need to build that emotional, that perspective, and like you said, like it's not the same way as the NBA. Like it's not the same caliber.
For sure, man. And it's like, you know, there's a lot of ways you could do that. And it's like, I think that limiting yourself to just like doing like appearances like in schools and stuff like that, that's super cool. Like you're showing up within the community, but like if your intention is just to go to the school because it looks good, in long term, it's going to show. And at the end, it's just going to be like stagnant, right? It's not gonna, the value of doing that is not gonna be as pronounced as it once was. So you have to find a way to be more creative and innovate and stuff like that. So that's like in my mind where content like, gets in the picture.
I think that we have a lot to talk about even after the podcast because I feel like what you just said is applicable to any sports team.
For sure,
like
man.
Even someone like there's some coaches or some management people, they say, oh, let's build a team, let's build an AU team. Everybody want an AU team.
Yeah.
Everybody want a U17. Everybody want a U15.
Yep.
But they don't think about all the logistic behind it. Like it's not only building a team. You build a team, you need to market the team. You need to recruit players.
Yep.
So if you don't look good, nobody will want to play for you.
Yeah, man.
So even if you're the best coach ever, you need the social media platform, you need like everything. So it's very relatable, like not only to Alliance.
Okay, for sure, man. And it's like, I think like just to piggyback what you're saying is, man, like people have to start using social media more. Like we say it all the time. It's like, even when they're talking to the players, they're like trying to educate them on social media, but who are you to educate a player on social media if you're not doing it? Or you're not doing it the right way, you know?
They have like 200 followers.
Exactly, right? So there's like that contradiction, and it's like, man, that's when like calling people out and it's like having those difficult conversations. That's when it's necessary. But
and after that you get canceled.
Oh yeah, man, that's a whole other thing, man. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah. We don't have the freedom of speech as before.
For sure.
Like when you say something, like sometimes it's so true, but politically you're not allowed to say it.
For sure.
Because people are gonna hate on you. Like.
For sure, man. And it's like, I think especially like when you're at the professional level, it's like you're kind of walking on eggshells, right? Because anything you could do could be used against you just because you're in the public so much. Mm-hmm. So I think like when I was at the Alliance, like that's something that we were always taking into consideration, which rightfully so, right? You want to make sure that you're affiliating yourself with the right people or the right organizations and you're like doing stuff the right way. But at the same time, when you have that big of a platform and like when people respect you, you could use your platform to do much more. Exactly. Right. And like leverage that and like speak up on issues and take a stance on something.
Yeah.
And like, just leverage your platform and use it the right way to make sure that you're really having a significant impact on the culture to move forward and like create progress in a way.
Bring back All-Star.
Like, yeah, I'm gonna try.
That's exactly one of the reasons why I'm trying to do something different.
Yeah.
So I need to reinvite the OGs,
Respect.
everybody who can have like a professional take onto the sports industry in art, business, and culture. Like
respect.
Like everybody after they finish playing basketball, they kind of lost because they've been playing basketball for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Since they were born, they got a basketball and they play until they finish school. And injuries, there's so much stuff, family issues, and when basketball is not there anymore, it's like they're nobody anymore.
Yeah.
So that's why like I feel like you played basketball, you coach basketball, you were in the professional industry.
Yeah.
You were like the highest ranked professional league. You work for them, and I just feel like you would be a very good person in order to kind of like give back in a way.
I respect that, man, and I appreciate your words, honestly. And it's like I think that's something that we share, like you and I, is like I share the same vision as you. Is like most of these people are not thinking about their life after basketball. Like the probabilities of you as a player or as a coach getting to the professional level, unfortunately, is super low, right? And so you have to think about it. And I think one part of the problem is, like I was saying earlier and that I repeated, is like it's always the same people that are getting all the eyeballs, that their word is worth more than the others and stuff like that. And I feel that by like those people just always giving players their flowers and stuff like that, eventually like there's a lack of self-awareness, right? I think that's what it comes down to. It's like players really believe that they could get to the professional level because everybody around them is telling them that. There's not one person telling them no. And even if there's one person telling them that it's not possible, well, they're the hater. They're a hater, right?
Yeah.
They're not the people. They're not the person that's looking out for them or whatever. They're just the person that's saying no. So I think it's super important that people are more open-minded, that they reach out to different people. Don't only look to the same people like time after time again, and don't be scared to ask questions and be vulnerable and be honest with yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's very good, everything that you say. Like I can relate with you in that. And after the Alliance, like, what was next? Because that's where like I didn't got called back from the Alliance. Like maybe I was charging too much, maybe, but I know that the quality of work that I was doing was, I think, the top of what I could have delivered for Montreal. And that's where we kind of disconnected. Like we don't talk that much anymore. Like yes, we sometime like on Instagrams. But what was next,
man? So like just to let you know, like I think once I left the Alliance, like that was, like I said, it was super tough on me, right? Because not only did I feel like I was letting like kind of the community down, but I also felt like creatively, like we were such on a good path. We were like, we could only improve from what we were going, right? We were already at a super high level compared to the others. And I think we could have brought a lot of like to the table. So once I left there, it was like, damn, like I'm not going to be able to work with these guys anymore. Like I had like, you have to tell yourself like the people that was running like the content from the Alliance were the same people that were in the gyms, like in Page, Park X. And you know what I mean? Like how dope is that, right? It wasn't like some like freelance videographer that's like getting all these corporate like contracts. It's like people that are in the gym, right? So like the fact that I wasn't there anymore and that I wasn't able like to like work with you guys and like give you guys more, I think that was like super tough on me. So that's like kind of like for a moment I kind of disconnected from the world, right? I was only like talking to like people that were super close, and like the people that were close to me knew that it was like a tough time for me. But then I was like, okay, how could I use all like the professional experience that I have and have like a significant impact on the culture and on the community? And that's like when I saw the opportunity to work at Pour Trois Points came up. And I was like, I already knew what it was. Like obviously being in basketball, you know, you already hear about the organization, and it's like a super good cause that works with coaches, like gives them like the right tools, teaches them to coach the right way, which I think is a super essential thing for coaches, because I think that people that been in the game for a long time, they think they established a blueprint, but they don't realize that players change every year, generations change every year. So I think what Pour Trois Points does is like they adapt their product. They make sure that coaches are not only that they take care of their kids the right way, but they take care of themselves the right way. So I thought that it was a good fit with my personal values, and that's where I'm at today.
Yeah. And like I know like you did like Canada basketball and those kind of stuff. You went through like freelancing a little bit.
Yeah.
And how was that like what made you make that switch?
Yeah, so like that's like the part of me that's like that's trying to work for myself still. Like I think that I'm really attached to that. Having like the freedom of like working with who you want to work with and like doing stuff your own way, bringing in like your personality and your values to the table is something that is super cherishing. So it's like something that I tested out. I'm still testing out, by the way. Like you might have to give me tips. Like to be honest, I might need tips from you, man.
Just do it.
Yo,
that's
sure.
the best tips. Like
I'm trying, man. Like, but I'm trying, and I'm like, I think I'm still young in the game. Like, especially as a designer. Like, I think I have much to learn. Like, I'm really self-taught, right? It's like I'm only trying to recreate what's in my mind, but like technically, I think I still have a lot to establish. But I'm trying to do stuff the right way. I'm trying to showcase like that I could bring value to anybody. And I think what's the biggest challenge for me is like just networking and reaching out to the right people to create those opportunities for me.
Yeah, that's a wise word.
Yeah, respect.
Yeah. That's good. So before we wrap up, if you can go back in time, is there anything that you would have changed?
Is there something I would have changed? Man, like if I could have changed something was in my mindset, be more open to collaboration, reach out more to people that are better than me, and not let my ego get in the way and thinking I'm the best.
Yeah,
I think
it's not too late.
Man, it's never too late. I'm slowly getting into that.
Yeah, but that's a very wise word, and I feel like if you apply that, we just need to connect. You know,
for sure,
like,
man.
We need to connect with everybody that's the OG in the basketball industry, and we can make something happen.
For sure, man. And like since we're kind of in that talk, man. Like I just want to give you your flowers, right? Like to being like persistent, like still believing. I think that's something that's a mindset that's super underrated. Right? Like just believing and like keep pushing through, trying to find ways to innovate. Obviously, like within your professional career, you're successful, but like you said, like Hoops on the Rise is your baby, and you're still trying to find ways to keep it alive and scale it. And honestly, like that's something like I admire from you, and it's something that I wish I had in myself, like to just continue to build something. But the fact that you're reaching out to different creators, you're giving them a voice, you're giving them their like a platform to to talk about stuff. Like, respect to you, man.
Thank you. Like, respect for your kind words, and like I appreciate that. Like, not many people say it, but like it's hard. But I'm still trying my best. Like,
For sure, man.
Because, like you said, financially, capital, like,
Yep.
like it's an investment. I'm using my own money to put it back inside for something that I might not see the money back.
For sure.
So, like, it's not about the money. If I'm still doing it until today, after like what 9 years, like I'm trying my best. But just one last thing.
Yep.
If someone would want to do what you're doing today, would want to take your path, what would be your advice for them?
Yeah, I think my advice would be, if I could give like something that's tangible, like not in the cliches, like try to find like the people that are in the right positions that could give you the opportunities, right? When you're starting off, don't be afraid to do like some free work, right? Like don't see that as disrespect. At the beginning, I found it as disrespect, and I think sometimes like when people are not willing to pay as much and stuff like that, I perceive it as like them not believing in me. But I don't think it's that necessarily. Obviously, everybody has their own situation, but I think if I could give like tangible like advice to young creatives is like try to find the right people that are in the right position. Explain to them what you could bring to the table, what value you bring to them. And be ready like to like see things in the long term and just don't give up so easily, right? Like just keep pushing through and see things like from a long-term standpoint.
Wise word. Those are
Thank
gems. And just in maybe one or two sentences, what will be your dream project to work on?
Damn, dream project. I think my dream project would be to kind of have like this agency where it's like all the dopest creatives in the city that share all the same value and that deliver like professional services, like what the NBA has, deliver that like to the grassroots level.
Call me tomorrow morning. We're going to talk about it.
Respect. I will.
Yeah. Okay. So if we want to find you, how can we find you?
Yeah. So, Matt on Instagram, Mark Anthony Cambria, otherwise macdesigns.psd on Instagram also. Hit me up over there if you guys are willing to collaborate or to reach out, ask questions or whatever. I'm an open book and I'm willing to give out advice.
We really appreciate for your time today.
Respect.
And thank you for watching another episode of Life After Ball. And if you like me to invite someone special onto the podcast, please drop them in the comment below. Subscribe, like, whatever you want to do, just support and share.
Let's go.